Welcome to this week's episode of Your Stock Request for the 21st of September. Hi, I'm Michael Gable, Managing Director at Fairmont Equities. Your Stock Request is the weekly video where I take your requests and analyse the share price charts. So this week we have 7 group holdings: WiseTech, Telex Pharmaceuticals, AP Eagers and Transurban. So if you have a request, please send it through. Make sure you're getting the free newsletter, but our best stock tips come out every Tuesday in the Dynamic Investor Report. So make sure you are getting that report. But if you do enjoy these videos, I'd love you to share them on social media or even leave us a review. Our main business is in portfolio management. So if you'd like us to help you manage the portfolio, then please give me a call. And all the advice here is general only. So we have a daily chart here of 7 Group. Clearly it's been trending very well in the past 12 months. If we have a look at sort of this period in June, I mean, there was a little bit of a hiccup here where you could have said this was a false break, upside break, failed, could have been a negative, but then it managed to hold on to this low, and this jump up here on volume was basically the signal to get back in, and it's just continued to trend well since then. So I just run a tight trailing stop now. You could do a trend line, or even a moving average, like something like a 10-day moving average, which would hug this pretty closely, and just stay with it for as long as it's going up. Okay, WiseTech. So we had a look at this one earlier in the year. There was an upside break. Basically rallied after that really well until it broke that uptrend here. But it hasn't really followed through too much on the downside. It's basically been able to hold in generally around these levels. Volatility's died down, which is good. If we have a look at sort of these previous peaks here, indicating a good support level at $65. So it's managed to bounce off that. So we could see there was a day here where it opened lower, closed on the highs, and then it's been hanging around at these upper levels since then. So it does look like there's a potential low in place. Whether it gets moving swiftly or not is another matter, but potentially there's a low there, and we may well see a recovery now in WiseTech. Okay, Telex. So another one we looked at earlier in the year, upside break, and because it had been trading sideways for so long, you got a pretty decent move out of that. So a nice rally, but a lot of volatility now, which is a bit of a warning sign. And we're seeing a couple of lower highs and lower lows. So unless in the next few days we see it back up above $12, I'd say that risk is to the downside. Okay, AP Eagers, another one that had an upside break, but this one failed. So you've got this sort of inverse head and shoulders, clear breakout, but it's fallen back under that level and has struggled. So that's a negative. Again, unless it's back up here in the short term, I'd say that the risk for this one is to the downside. Okay, finally Transurban. If we look at a weekly chart, we could see that it's, again, pretty range bound. It's getting towards the lower part of that range, so you'd be looking for potentially an opportunity to buy again. I mean, looking at the daily chart, it's quite messy the way it's bounced around here, but it seems to be characteristic of this stock. It just seems to be very, very volatile anyway, intraday. What I have noticed is RSI that bottomed in August, even though the share price went slightly lower, and has basically stayed flat, and that's been trending. So a bit of bullish divergence there, which means there's probably a decent chance we start to see this edge higher from here. Okay, well that's all for this week. If you have a request, send it through and I'll try to cover it next Thursday.